Hi, Brown Bobcat friends. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, March 20th, and it's day 2 of missing my kiddos and all of my other friends out there, wherever you are. I hope you are doing well. Today is a special day. It's the first day of spring. So I decided to change my location in my house to make it brighter. And then this is the picture behind me. Wouldn't you rather be there? Yeah, me too. And that's the perfect isolation, by the way. My dishwasher is running in case you're wondering what that noise is. All right, we are on chapter 3 of Henry and Ribsy by Beverly Cleary. Henry gets a haircut. Henry was looking through the refrigerator for something to eat. Something that wasn't too hard and wasn't too chewy because he had 2 teeth so loose he could wiggle them with his tongue. They were upper teeth on either side of his 4 grown-up front teeth. Henry wanted to keep them 3 more days so he would have something to show off to the other boys the first day of school. Ribsy pawed, I almost dropped my book, at the refrigerator door. "All right," said Henry. "You've been pretty good about keeping out of trouble lately." He tossed a piece of horse meat to him. "Let's see," thought Henry, poking first his loose right tooth and then his loose left tooth with his tongue. "Peanut butter is too sticky. I guess I'll have some bread and apricot pineapple jam." Let's see, here he is, looking in the fridge with Ribsy. Excuse me, and no, I'm not sick. As he reached for the jam jar, Henry heard his mother come in the front door. "Hi, Mom," he called. "Hi," she answered, and entered the kitchen with her arms full of packages. "Wait till you see what I bought." "What?" asked Henry. He wiggled first his right tooth and then his left tooth as he took a slice of bread out of the bread box. Mrs. Huggins dumped her packages on the draining board. "Electric clippers," she announced. "The Colossal Drugstore was having a sale, only $6.95, marked down from $9.95. "Clippers for what?" asked Henry as he spread butter on the bread. He wiggled his left tooth. He thought, it's a little bit looser than the right tooth. "Hair clippers, of course," answered his mother. Henry stopped wiggling his teeth. "Clippers for whose hair?" he asked suspiciously. "Now, Henry," said Mrs. Huggins soothingly, "I'm sure that with a little practice I can do just as good of a job as a barber, and with the price of haircuts, think of the money we'll save." "Mom!" wailed Henry, clutching his hair. He didn't want to save money. He wanted to save his hair. "Are you going to cut Dad's hair too?" Mrs. Huggins laughed as she unwrapped the clippers. "You know, your father's hair is kind of precious. Now that it's getting so thin on top, we can't afford to take chances with it." "Well, my hair's precious too," said Henry, deciding he wasn't even hungry after all. He handed Ribsy the bread and butter and watched him gulp it down. Then he leaned gloomily against the refrigerator and wiggled first his right tooth and then his left tooth. "Jeepers," he thought, "now what am I going to do?" Mrs. Huggins took a sheet out of a drawer. "Henry, why do you keep making such awful faces?" she asked. "I'm not making faces," said Henry. "I'm wiggling my loose teeth." "Which teeth are loose?" Mrs. Huggins asked. "Oh, maybe she'll forget about cutting my hair," thought Henry as he went to his mother and bared his teeth. "See, this one and this one," he lisped as he wiggled first his right tooth and then his left tooth. "Oh, those are your canine teeth," remarked Mrs. Huggins. "Canine?" repeated Henry, delighted that he was distracting his mother. "I thought canine meant dog." "It does," answered his mother. "The cuspids are called canine teeth because they're pointed like a dog's teeth." "Hey, teeth like a dog," said Henry. He bared his teeth and growled at Ribsy. "Arr!" Then Mrs. Huggins said briskly, "Now, Henry, don't try to change the subject. Sit on this chair and put this sheet around your neck and I will go to work." "Right this minute?" Henry asked mournfully. "Right this minute," said Mrs. Huggins. "Your hair is so scraggly on the back of your neck it looks like fringe." "Mom!" wailed Henry. "You can't do this to me." "Now, Henry, don't you worry," said his mother reassuringly. "On the way home, I stopped and I watched a barber cutting hair, so I know just how it's done." "Do you think Dad will want you to cut my hair?" Henry asked. "Oh, yes," answered Mrs. Huggins. "I phoned him and I talked it over with him before I bought the clippers. He thought it was a good idea." "I'm might have known they'd stick together, Henry thought miserably as he slid down in the chair. Why can't the phone ring or something? Mrs. Huggins plugged the clippers into the wall and turned on the switch. They chattered so furiously that Henry couldn't help ducking. Ribsy tucked his tail between his legs and hastily left the kitchen. Henry felt his mother's hand on the top of his head and heard the clippers at the back of his neck. And then he felt them touch his skin. Ow! He exclaimed and pulled away. They're cold! Henry, I haven't even begun to clip, said his mother. Henry gritted his teeth. Arr. The clippers touched the back of his neck and whizzed up his head. Mom! Protested Henry, feeling the back of his head. That's too short! Ooh, these clippers do cut awfully fast. For the first time, Mrs. Huggins sounded doubtful. Once more, the clippers tickled Henry's neck and chattered up the back of his head. Oh, there, said Mrs. Huggins. I didn't get it quite so close that time. Oh, it's supposed to match, said Henry. And here's his picture. Yeah, I don't know about this. I'll take a little off right here and even it up, said Mrs. Huggins. The clippers swooped down on Henry's head, and then they whizzed up the back again. Zip! Oh, man, just wait till the kids see this, thought Henry gloomily. Hey, what's going on in here? It was Henry's father. The clippers made so much noise that neither Henry nor his mother had heard him come in. Dad! Wailed Henry. Look what Mom's done to me! Said Mr. Huggins. Your hair looks like moths have chewed it. Mrs. Huggins began to laugh, but Henry didn't think it was so funny. Who wanted to go around with moth-eaten hair? He slid farther down in his chair and scowled at the kitchen wall. Here, let me try, said Mr. Huggins. I ought to know how to cut hair. I've watched the barber cut mine often enough. He started the clippers chattering again. Henry sat up. Maybe his father would be better at cutting his hair. He felt his right ear being folded down, and he heard the clippers whiz up the side of his head. Whoops, said Mr. Huggins. What do you mean, whoops? Demanded Henry crossly. Instead of answering, Mr. Huggins put his hand under Henry's chin, tipped his head back, and looked first at the right side and then at the left. He folded down Henry's left ear and ran the clippers up the side of his head. Zip! Then he stepped back and looked at his results. Not too bad, he observed. Ugh, Henry groaned. What do we do with the top? Asked Henry's mother. Oh, no, Henry's father. Mow it? Dad! Yelled Henry. Mrs. Huggins giggled. Henry scowled. Mr. Huggins held a lock of Henry's hair up with a comb, and then he sheared the ends off with the clippers. You know, this isn't so easy, he said. Your hair grows every which way back here. He combed and clipped another lock and then another. There, he said at last, and turned off the clippers. Neither of Henry's parents spoke. Let me see! Henry jerked off the sheet and ran to the mirror in his room. He stared, too horrified to even speak. His hair was shorter on the left side than on the right. Both sides were rough, and the top looked like it had been chewed. Henry ran his hands over the back of his head. He did not need to even see it. He could tell what his father meant about moths, so it has like little holes in it, kind of. He could never go outdoors looking like this. He'd have to stay in the house for weeks, even months, until his hair grew out. And here is Henry's really awful haircut. Oh, poor Henry. Mrs. Huggins came into the room and put her arm around Henry's shoulders. I'm sorry, Henry. I thought I could do a better job, she said. I'm sure it'll look all right in a few days. Yeah, don't worry, son, said Mr. Huggins. It'll grow out in no time, and next time we'll do better. Next time? Henry stared at himself in the mirror. I can't go to school looking like this. I'll have to stay home. I'll get behind in arithmetic, and I won't know the folk dances. And arithmetic, do you guys remember what that is? Math? Yeah. Oh, Henry, interrupted his mother. It isn't that bad. It'll be grown out before you know it. Well, it won't grow out by Monday, and that's when school starts. When Henry's mother and father left the room, Henry threw himself on the bed and pounded the pillow with his fist. He would have to think of something to do about his hair. He would just have to, that's all. Maybe he could get a wig. Or have all his hair cut off and say he was tired of having hair. There was one thing he was sure of. He couldn't face the kids, especially Scooter, looking like this. Some bits of hair that had fallen down Henry's back made him itch. He scratched and he thought. Then he got up and he pulled his Daniel Boone coonskin hat out of the drawer. He put it on and looked at himself in the mirror. No, that wouldn't do. Even with the tail hanging down, too much of his hair showed. He put it back and pulled out his sailor hat. No, that wouldn't do either. Oh, wait a minute, he thought, and he turned down the brim. Yes. That did it. And here he is. That covers everything, including his eyes, huh? It hid his eyebrows too, but he didn't even care. Henry looked at himself in the mirror, wiggled first his right tooth, and then his left tooth, and then felt a little better. Maybe he could find something to rub into his scalp to stimulate the growth of hair the way the advertisements said. Ribsy whimpered at the front door. Henry let him out and then decided to go with him. Even if he did look funny, he'd better keep his eye on Ribsy every minute. He wasn't going to miss that fishing trip if he could help it. Henry sat on the front steps with his arm around Ribsy's neck and laid his cheek against Ribsy's ear. Oh, good old Ribsy. He seemed to understand. Funny how Ribsy's ears were so silky when the rest of his hair was rough. And he smelled good too, a nice doggy smell. Henry scratched Ribsy behind his right ear. Thump, 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 went Ribsy's tail on the step. Then Ribsy trotted into the shrubbery and came back with his rope, which he dropped at Henry's feet. He looked at Henry and wagged his tail. Oh, you want to play tug of war? Henry tossed one end of the rope to his dog, who grabbed it with his mouth and growled a pretend growl. Henry pulled at the rope. Ribsy hung on and pulled even harder. Good old Ribsy, said Henry. It wasn't every dog that could play tug of war. Henry was still playing with Ribsy when he noticed Scooter McCarthy pedaling down Klickitat Street on his bike with Robert riding on the back fender. It was too late for Henry to retreat into the house. His friends had already seen him. Scooter stopped in front of Henry. Hi, he said. What are you wearing that sailor hat like that for? None of your beeswax, answered Henry. The two boys got off the bicycle and joined Henry on the steps. Henry watched Scooter in case he tried to snatch the sailor hat. I bet all your hair fell out, said Scooter. I bet you're bald. My hair didn't either fall out, said Henry. Well, then why, began Robert. Henry quickly interrupted. I have 2 loose teeth, he said to change the subject. See, this one and this one. They're canine teeth. That means teeth like a dog. Oh, I lost those teeth ages ago, boasted Scooter. Sure you did, said Henry. You're older than me. How about letting me pull them for you, said Scooter. No, let me, said Robert. Nope, said Henry, pleased at getting their attention away from his hat. Oh, come on, Huggins, coaxed Scooter. I'll give you a piece of Chinese money that has a hole in the center. Henry shook his head. He hoped he could keep them talking about his teeth until his mother called him into dinner. Please, Henry, said Robert, I'll let you make a tunnel out of a coffee can for my electric railroad. Henry didn't answer. He wiggled his teeth and kept an eye on Scooter. You keep quiet, Scooter said to Robert. I asked him first. Well, he's more my friend than he is yours, answered Robert. We're the same age and we're in the same room at school. Henry wiggled his teeth and let the boys argue. While they were arguing, Mary Jane, remember Mary Jane? I was snotty. Beezus and her little sister Ramona came down the street. Henry could tell they had been to the store because Mary Jane was carrying a jar of mayonnaise, Beezus was carrying a carton of milk, and Ramona a pound of butter, which wouldn't break if she dropped it. Henry has 2 loose teeth at the same time, Robert announced to the girls. Oh, let's see, said Beezus eagerly. Oh, it's nothing, said Henry modestly and bared his teeth. He wiggled first the right tooth, and then the left tooth, while the girls watched and admired. If he kept them busy looking at his teeth, they might not say anything about his hat. If you'll tie strings to them, I'll be glad to pull them for you, said Beezus. Hey, I asked first, Scooter reminded Henry. Nope, said Henry. Henry Huggins, you better pull them out, said Mary Jane. My dentist says if you leave loose teeth in too long, it makes your grown-up teeth come in crooked. That's actually true. Henry scratched at the bits of hair down his back as he thought it over. Nope, he said, to keep the argument going. I'm going to keep them. If you tie strings on them and tie the other ends to a doorknob and slam the door, they come out without even hurting, said Beezus. He could eat a whole bunch of chewy candy. That would pull his teeth out, suggested Mary Jane. That's no fun, said Scooter. Besides, he might swallow them. He could tie a string to each tooth and then tie rocks to the other ends of the strings and throw the rocks in the river, said Robert, looking pleased with his suggestion. I know a better way, said Scooter. He could tie the rocks to his teeth and walk along a railroad track until he came to a high trestle. And when he got to the middle, he could throw the rocks off. Oh boy, that would be really fun. And a trestle, it's kind of like a bridge, but for trains. And there's a picture I'll show you in a minute. I know, said Robert. He could tie the other ends of the strings to the back end of a fire engine. And when it took off, yo, would his teeth come out in a hurry. Oh, he could tie them to a skyrocket and set off the rocket. Zowie! That would really be something to watch. Scooter looked proud of himself for thinking up this idea. And here's all of our pictures here. So this is the railroad trestle right here. So it's like a bridge, but just for railroads, which is not safe to be on, so don't do that. And then here's the fire truck idea, and then here's the rocket. Now you're just being silly, said Mary Jane. Anyway, the 4th of July is past. Say, whose teeth are they anyway? Demanded Henry. Was Scooter eyeing his hat? He couldn't be sure, so he continued. Besides, I don't want to lose my teeth for keeps. I'm going to put them under my pillow at night and find dimes instead of teeth in the morning. Anyway, I'll think of a way to pull them myself. How? Everyone wanted to know. You just wait, said Henry. It'll be a good way. A way nobody ever pulled teeth before. And then he wished he hadn't said that. Now he would have to think of a way to pull the teeth, and he already had enough troubles. He scratched his back where the loose hair made him itch and wished his mother would hurry up and call him in to dinner. What do you keep scratching for? Scooter asked, glancing at Henry's hat. I itch, said Henry coldly. Ramona! Shrieked Beezus suddenly. Now look what you've done! Oh, my gravy. Ramona was busy eating the pound of butter, which she had unwrapped and was holding in her grimy little hands. Ribsy finished licking the greasy paper and moved closer to help Ramona finish the butter. Ribsy! Yelled Henry and grabbed his dog by the collar. He couldn't have Ribsy eating the Quimby's butter. Beezus' mother would be sure to complain if he did. The Quimbys might eat butter that had been licked by Ramona, but they probably would not eat butter licked by Ribsy, even though he was a nice, clean dog. And here's Ramona with her butter. That girl. Ribsy strained so hard toward the butter that Henry had to hang on to his collar with both of his hands. Ribsy coughed and pawed the air with his front feet. Cut it out, Ribsy, ordered Henry. Do you want me to get in trouble? Ramona, just wait till Mother sees this butter, scolded Beezus, as she pried at her little sister's slippery fingers. Look at it, it's all squeezed and dirty. Out of the corner of his eye, Henry saw Scooter raise his hand. Henry let go of Ribsy's collar, the dog bounded forward, and Henry clapped his hands to his head an instant too late. Scooter had snatched off the sailor hat. Give me that, yelled Henry, trying to cover his hair with one hand while he grabbed at his hat with the other. Ha! Try and get it, taunted Scooter, and then he began to laugh. Oh boy, look at that haircut. Ribsy! Screamed Beezus. I've got him, said Robert, grabbing Ribsy by the collar. Henry Huggins, what happened to you? Mary Jane was horrified. You look all chewed. Wow, exclaimed Robert, keeping a firm grip on Ribsy's collar. Look at that hair. Scooter McCarthy, give me that hat. Henry tried to grab it, but Scooter held it out of reach. What happened, Henry? Robert asked. Did you cut your own hair? Keep quiet, said Henry. It looks as if something's been chewing on it. Scooter stopped and laughed. Look at it. Did you ever see anything so chewed? Beezus, who was trying to stuff the melting remains of the butter back into the box, looked at Henry. I know what happened. His mother cut his hair, that's what. I can tell because my mother cuts my hair and she never gets my bangs straight. Is that what happened? Scooter demanded as he spun Henry's hat around on his finger. Henry kicked at the tuft of grass. He was too miserable to even answer. Boy, she really fixed you, said Scooter, laughing harder than ever. Look at those nicks in the back and the way it sticks out over your ears. I'm glad my mother doesn't cut my hair, said Robert. I wouldn't want to go looking around like that. Go around looking like that. Sorry, I messed that up. Wait till the kids at school see it, said Scooter. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. It does look pretty awful, said Beezus, as she tried to hang on to her little sister's greasy fingers. I guess it's easier to cut girls' hair. Henry did not have a thing to say. He knew how awful his hair looked. At last, Mrs. Huggins came out on the porch. Henry, dinner's ready, she called. Henry caught the sailor hat as Scooter tossed it at him. Come on, you old dog, he said to Ribsy as he climbed the front steps. Look at all the trouble you got me into just because I was trying to keep you out of trouble. Now what am I going to do? Ribsy's ears and tail drooped as he followed Henry into the house. And that's the end of our chapter for today. We'll do chapter 4. Well, and now here's a question. Do you want me to start reading over the weekend too? I mean, I can. I'm not going anywhere. So I can do that too if you guys want. So next time, I'll just say next time, chapter 4 is Henry's canine teeth. And remember, the canine means dog, and those are the pointy ones. You have your 2 front, then you have the 2 on the side, and then you have your pointy teeth, your canine teeth. Okay, I want you guys to stay safe. It is Friday, so happy Friday to y'all, and happy spring. I'm looking forward to what spring brings, and flowers and hope. This is hope. I'm hoping that all of this madness ends soon, and we'll be able to go back to school together and be together as our Brown School family once again. I love you guys. Be safe. Don't go anywhere, please. Wash your hands a lot and read, for Pete's sake. Love you guys. Bye.